I feel like we all know by now that there are so many very, very useless makeup hacks on the internet. In today's video, I thought I would kind of break through the noise and give you guys 10 makeup hacks or tips, if you will, to getting your makeup to look amazing every single time. These are techniques going into your routine, but also little tips and tricks to correct your makeup if things start to go a little awry. Overall, I hope that you guys enjoy the video and let us begin. So something I talk about a lot in my makeup techniques, tips, hacks videos is how your skin prep and your makeup synergize. And it's something that really is key and completely changes the way that your makeup looks once you get the hang of it. One technique that I've been using quite a lot is using milky toners as face prep. This is one product that you guys know how much I love. I don't even know, I can't count how many times that I have recommended this product to you all, but it's the Haru Haru Wonder Black Rice Probiotics Barrier Essence. They're also sponsoring this portion of the video, which is incredible because you guys just know how much I absolutely love this product. And I get comments from you guys all of the time saying how much you love this. So if you're a huge fan, definitely drop me a comment. I believe this is like my third bottle of this stuff. If you're not familiar with this product, it has this absolutely beautiful milky texture to it, but it's not a heavy, thick moisturizer product, which makes it absolutely perfect for under makeup because it's layerable. You can use one layer for just a really soft, supple effect. You can use multiple layers if you want a super glassy glow. But I have a new technique that I've actually been using, and that is whenever I want a more skin-like kind of effect with any foundation that I have, I'll actually add in a few drops of the Haru Haru Wonder Barrier Essence. So I already did use one layer of this in my skincare routine, which reminds me, by the way, this is not just a skin prep product that I like. I use this morning and night, and it has dramatically changed the balance of my skin. Like, my skin is way more balanced than it has ever been before. It really nourishes the skin and doesn't just kind of like sit on top and pill up on your makeup. So I actually want to show you guys how adding in the Barrier Essence into my foundation it completely changes the game as far as how my foundation looks. So I'm just first going to apply my foundation, as I regularly would. So this is the Maybelline Lumi Matte Foundation, and I love this one because it lasts really well, but I always just find that I wish it was just a little bit more supple looking. I wish it kind of gave me more of that like cloud skin look. I want just a little bit more plushness to the product, but I love the actual longevity. And by the way, this is going to look great because I prepped my skin with the Barrier Essence in my skincare routine, but my hack to really take it to the next level, and I've seen other people do this, like Hailey Bieber is known for doing this kind of technique, but I've just been absolutely loving it. So this is how a foundation looks. It's sitting very closely on the skin. It's just a good formula, especially for this time of the year. But let me show you, it really just takes it to the next level. So I'm going to take, let's say that's about like 2 to 3 drops of the Black Rice Probiotics Barrier Essence, and then I'm going to take some of my foundation and just pump it right into it. I just mix it onto the back of my hand, and you'll start to notice that the texture becomes a little bit more spreadable. And for me personally, by the way, this is not a great shade match for me. It's more of like my self-tan shade, so just keep that in mind. But this just takes it to that next level. So what I see immediately, that looks way more like actual skin to me. Just kind of really warms up on the complexion. It adds this really pretty radiance. And this is also a really lovely technique for anyone that wants to make your foundation like more blendable in and of itself, because I find that the Barrier Essence gives the product, it's not more slip, it's more spreadability. and it adds another layer of this really beautiful moisture. So here's the foundation before. Again, it looks really nice. Here is what it looks like after the Haru Haru Wonder mixed in. You really notice that the Haru Haru Wonder like smooths everything out. It kind of like makes my skin look a little bit more refined, whereas I can kind of see like my fine lines, my pores a little bit over here, whereas then I move over here and they kind of just, it just smooths everything out. If you deal with like textural issues with your foundation, I just find that this is such a quick way to really smooth out that texture and make sure your foundation isn't clinging and caking onto those areas. And they pack this with probiotics, so it also not only balances your skin, but with that balance, it almost has a slight exfoliating effect. I always notice that my skin feels more balanced, it feels more supple, and it looks more refined when I am using this consistently. It has been an absolute game changer. Seriously, holy grail product. Such an excellent skin prep skincare product. The next hack that I have for you guys is one that I have seen for literally years circulate. If you are someone that loves like a really separated kind of fluttery lash look, you want a beautiful curl to your lashes, try taking your mascara or your eyelash curler or both, which I'm going to do today. And if you wear a bra, just put it into your bra and it actually gets the mascara formula, the waxes in it, kind of warmed up. Same thing with your eyelash curler. So it kind of warms up the eyelash curler. I'm putting in both of my bra right now, but you can also just put it in between your thighs, any area that's kind of warm. So your eyelash curler is going to become a bit warmer and it'll really help the curl, and I'll show you guys a little bit later in the video. But as we're letting that warm up, this is a tip that I wish that I could literally put into every single video I do. I've talked about this briefly before on my channel in some of my concealer tip videos, but if you're someone that wants to do some color correcting, but you always find that when you add a layer of color corrector and then you go on top with your concealer, that it looks a little bit heavy and it starts to cake up, or if you just apply your color corrector, it always feels like you kind of see the color corrector. One thing that I have been doing for a while now is I actually apply both at the same time. So for example, I have my Tower 28. This one I think could use just a touch of a color corrector to it. So what I'll do is just take it onto the back of my hand. I love this concealer so much. I've talked about it for a long time. Then I'm going to take the Illusion shade of the Kosas color corrector. And I love this formula too. It's incredibly creamy. You can see the Kosas definitely has this peachiness that is really going to help counteract any of the blue under my eyes. And I just mix it on the back of my hand. I take it with my finger and I just apply it right under the eye. And this way I only have one layer of my concealer going on under the eyes. It's less product, which I love. I also take some in this kind of tear trough area. I always find that it brightens things up. And I've been really liking my finger. I mean, I will always love a brush. I'll always use a beauty blender, but a finger will really warm up your color corrector, especially if you are using like a thicker kind of putty formula. So that's something to keep in mind. Not that I am today, but I just wanted to make that note to you guys that your fingers are absolutely a good way to apply makeup. Fingers will absolutely never be out of style. So you see how there's one layer, everything is concealed really beautifully. And again, it's because we have one shade that has this slight color corrective property. And I love this technique too because you can really cater the color to be as color corrective as you like. I mean, there are some shades that already might have a peachiness or a pinkness or an orangeness that already will act as that a little bit. So sometimes you just want to change the color just a touch. Every single time I do that technique, every time I do that technique, I'm like, why did I not do that sooner? I'm gonna put on just a little bit of blush because I have a lot of eye-focused techniques for this video. So I'm just gonna put on a little bit of blush to start giving us some color. This is new from Sochi, and this is the shade Speak Easy. It's their Blurring Powder Pillow Blush. I love this formula. It is so blurring and beautiful. So a very, very common question that I get is how I make eyeshadow last longer. And I always like to tell you guys that like a liquid shadow as a prep product is my personal preferred way to prep the lids because I can get a little bit of a shape with a liquid shadow. These are the ones from Rem. I love these. I always find that they almost kind of set the lid in a really beautiful, soft, matte way. So finding a good matte liquid shadow formula for the lids to prep them is wonderful. I do know that if you have extremely oily eyelids though, there are other ways of really locking in your eyeshadow, and you can do this a couple of different ways. So this is gonna sound crazy. Don't knock it before you try it. This is my RMS Hydra Setting Powder. You're actually gonna take some of that powder onto your brush. Just kind of load it onto the brush. Really, really press that in to the brush until you can't necessarily see it sitting on top. You see how you can tell there's powder on there, but it's not only on the top. Really load that into the brush. And you are going to take that and you are essentially going to bake the lids. You're setting for sure, but we're going to do this a couple of times. Make sure you get creases out before you do this. But we're just going to press that product on. But this is really, really going to help with oils the same way that like baking your face would. So think of this as, you know, you really, really want your makeup to last long on the lids. I don't think this is necessarily the best for dry skin every single day. I would still recommend going with my liquid eyeshadow hack. So again, and now I'm going on layer 2 and I'm just pressing that on. And I don't know if you guys can tell, this is literally like, this powder is so good that it does not look dry. Unheard of for my lids. My lids are so dry, and this just, I'm telling you guys, that powder is going to be in Best of Beauty. Actually, I think a lot of these products honestly are. So now the lids have essentially been baked. Now, typically with baking, you would add that thick layer on and then kind of buff it away once it's melted and warmed up a little bit. I find that this is the more like this double setting kind of technique is a little bit better for drier skin. I'm gonna go ahead and just do like a really, really quick eye look. So when I'm going for very quick, I love the Chocolate Dahlia bento box from Kaja because it just has everything that I need. So I'm going to start with the middle shade, which is just this kind of mid-tone brown, which works so perfectly as a crease shade on me. And I'm, again, really not focusing too much on getting a ton of shape. This is just really like, you know how people call some eyeshadow looks like 5-minute eyeshadow looks? This is probably going to be even less than that. This is a really, really quick eye look. This shadow blended itself. When we have prepped the lid with that powder, it makes for blending that is so much easier. Powders just want to blend together rather than kind of stick and cling. So again, yeah, I'm just taking that up on the lid. I will add a little bit of my shimmer just all over the lid, but I'm wearing it really sheerly as almost like a sequin kind of look. It kind of just like barely catches and twinkles. I think I've given you guys like so many different winged liner kind of tips over the years. One of my favorite tips is to take an angled eyeliner brush. This one is from BK. It's the 208, like a holy grail product for me. And I just take a dark shadow. This is the one from the Dahlia palette. And I just start where my lower lash line and my upper lash line meet. And just draw a line. Move my mirror back and kind of look straight into the mirror. so I can get a good feel for how the actual wing is going to look when my eyes are open. And this is just a very, very soft wing. It's not something that's going to look like a lot of liner. It's more of like a trick of the eye. Just adds that little bit of shape that I just love. So I'm gonna do the same thing on the other eye, and then I'm gonna show you guys how I like to make this look really crisp and last long. So we have the basic shape down for the wings done really well. Honestly, I would probably recommend curling your lashes before you put on your wing, but this is something that I always forget to do. But let me go ahead and show you guys the eyelash curler hack. It is completely warmed up with my skin, and I'm just curling, pumping a couple of times. It literally just curled in 2 seconds. And you know what? I feel like it also gets the actual plastic part, like the pad, it warms it up. It makes it more comfortable on the lashes. It's something where you're like, how could that actually make a huge difference? And then you do it and you're like, what? Now we have my Maybelline Colossal Bubble Mascara, and I don't know if you can tell, this formula is very melty right now. The waxes have really melted down. I'm also just going to take off a little bit of the excess. I always do that with this product. That is wild though. I could actually like feel it through the piece of tissue. I bet this could also work if you put your mascara like in the sun as you were doing the rest of your makeup. And then you just go ahead and apply. And the waxes, wow, yes. The difference is crazy because it's so subtle. This is a mascara that I find personally has a lot of product, so that's why I like to take off a little bit of the excess. But I'm getting even more separation than I did before because I've warmed up those waxes and let them really coat each lash. Truly, I feel like those two hacks together like really, really elevated my lashes. We're definitely going to take this a step further though. Remember what I was telling you guys about how to get like that really clean, crisp line as far as your wing liner? Something that I like to do sometimes to really like perfect that is I will take a beige pencil, whatever pencil matches your skin tone or just a little bit lighter. This is the Boundless Bisque shade. But you can also just take a little bit of your concealer on a brush, and I just draw it right against that wing. I just draw it right against that wing. And I find that it just adds this little bit of a crisp shape and line. It's so subtle, but it's these little details that for me, I personally find add up at the end of a look. You can just take a brush and like really gently blend that out. If you also are feeling like you want to brighten of the eyes, but you don't want to necessarily use a really powerful sparkly shade or like a white shadow, you can do the same thing with this pencil. You can just tuck it into the inner corner, a little bit onto the lower lash line, and it just adds that brightened effect without adding a lot of product. Just add it right in that corner. And I like this more than adding a shimmer into the inner corner personally. I also think that, you know, when people add like liner in the inner corner of the eye, like a black, crisp, like black liner, it looks really, really beautiful. For me personally, I feel like it can close off my eyes, but sometimes if I still want to kind of elongate the inner portion of my eye and really accentuate like the shape of my eye, that does it without it necessarily closing off my eye. I know also that NYX actually used to make pencils similar to this, but you can just use a concealer pencil. I know like a lot of Asian beauty brands that have them, like the Can Make one, the one from the brand The Same. So I'll leave a lot of different options down below. The one from Lisa Eldridge. So now that everything is starting to finish up, everything's settled in, I think I need a little bit more blush. Just love that formula. I always find that like right at the end, adding just like a very soft layer of blush. I'm like, it never looks bad. Take a little bit of the excess on the nose. So let's say you are applying your lip color. This is the e.l.f. lip stain in the shade Power Move. And you go ahead, you put that on. And this is a beautiful color, but I do feel like for the rest of what we're going for, it's a little bit too bright. That is when the power of a black gloss comes in handy. This is the one from Fui. It's their 3D changing gloss in the shade Scene Black. But what you'll notice is that it's not necessarily black. It's almost like a gray, and it's more translucent. And if you just want to deepen up a color or even add some brightness, if you wanted to add like a juicy brightness, you could use the yellow gloss. They also have a purple one, a lilac color, if you wanted to add like that brightened lilac look. But watch, I'm just gonna I'll do one side of my lips so you guys can see the difference. Do you see that subtle difference, how it takes down and just deepens up a color a little bit? So if there are different formulas or shades that you're trying to get more use out of, this gloss will add a lot of moisture and also deepen up a color. And you can, again, they have a yellow one, they have a lilac one, so you can also really customize, color correct, if you will, your lip colors. But my last tip for you guys, and this is a tip that is, I feel like people have been doing this for a long time, but maybe not like necessarily realizing it. I actually found out about this on accident, but I feel like it's one worth noting. So if you ever feel like you're at the end of your makeup look and your makeup just looks heavy, nothing's really synergizing, it looks a little bit choppy. I get it, like we have all had days like that. I highly recommend actually taking like a tub or a shower, a hot shower. Obviously with a hot shower, you have to like wash your face, or even just taking a bowl and putting some hot water into it and letting your face steam. Steam has this way of really melting together makeup, the warmth of it. And I feel like whenever my makeup is just looking a little bit heavy and like a setting mist or a fixing mist isn't doing it, taking a hot shower really like re-emulsifies everything and helps everything really melt back in together. I know it sounds crazy, but the next time you feel like your makeup is just not doing it, put your face in front of like a hot cup of coffee for like 5 minutes. And those were all of my 10 makeup hacks and tips for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Definitely let me know down below if you guys use my little hack of mixing the Haru Haru Wonder Probiotics Barrier Essence into your foundation of choice, because I just feel like, I mean, let's take a look again. This looks great, right? It looks really nice. This is on, it just really synergizes, melts everything in. I'm clearly a big fan, but if you guys do try it, please leave me a comment. But overall, thank you guys so much for being here, and I will see you in my next one.